Hi, everyone. Good morning. I know we are right here at the top of the hour for Crunchbase's webinar today. We are going to give folks just a few more minutes. And while we are waiting for everybody to trickle in, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. All right, great. We will give our attendees just another minute or so to hop in. I know we've got a bunch of folks joining. Again, it's the top of the hour. I'm joining from the East Coast, so I'm a couple of hours in, but I know for other folks, it is just the beginning of their day. So we'll give them just one more minute. So hold tight, and then we'll get things underway. All right, great. We'll do one more minute. We keep seeing the numbers roll in, but otherwise, while we're waiting, since I don't have any background music, really thrilled that all of you guys took the chance to join us today. We are so excited to walk through this discussion with everybody. All right. Awesome. Well, we're a couple of minutes in, so I'm going to go ahead and get things started here. So, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be joining from, and welcome to today's webinar with Crunchbase Outpace the Market with Predictive Intelligence. So, for today, a chance to meet our panel. I promise this won't be a solo TED Talk. I'm actually going to be joined by some friends as we go along. But before they join me on stage later in their presentation, I will give them a quick introduction. On Crunchbase's side, I am delighted to be joined by Monica Abraham. She is our senior product manager, and she's been instrumental in helping cultivate and deliver Crunchbase's predictive intelligence that we'll be speaking about today. You'll get to see more around the predictions that we have from a demonstration with Monica later. We're also going to be joined by our partners from Clay. They are a real force in the go-to-market space, and they're not only helping teams define their go-to-market alpha, but also transforming the way that GTM is perceived with AI. Clay recently launched an integration with Crunchbase, and we're going to be joined by Stefan, who manages data partnerships there, and he'll give us a brief description on who Clay is, what they're up to, and more about the opportunity that Clay saw with Crunchbase's predictive intelligence. And then I'm sure it's helpful if I introduce myself. I have been talking long enough, and I don't want to be the man behind the curtain, if you will, but I'm Liz Beavers. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at Crunchbase. I've been working with the team on helping bring predictive intelligence to market, and I'm really excited to share more knowledge and hopefully spark some ideas on how you all might leverage our predictive intelligence through Crunchbase's API. So thank you guys again for tuning in today. As we get going, we're actually going to kick things off here with a poll. So give me just 1 second and I will go ahead and fire off our very first poll. So you guys should see the first poll here. There's actually a twofer. So if you can, take a quick moment and provide our answers. I really think this is going to help set the stage. So the first poll that we have here is, what is your biggest challenge with private market data today? We've got some good answers that are rolling in. I'll give you guys just a minute. And then the second question, that's a part of our first poll as well, is how are you currently getting private company insights or forecasts? We'll give that just another minute so that everybody's got some time to answer. All right. Great. We've got a pretty hefty variety of answers that are coming in. All right, we'll give it just one more second. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. Now, for the first question, in terms of your biggest challenge with private market data today, it looks like most folks are saying that it's too time consuming to analyze. Completely heard that. That makes a lot of sense. There's a lot you have to look through, but we are also pretty well tied up in terms of that data is lacking technical depth, or it's not currently integrated into our workflows. Super helpful to understand that. And I think as we go along our discussion today, you'll find the opportunities where you can save time in terms of that analysis on private market data, but also spark some ideas again on how you might actually integrate that key predictive intelligence into your existing workflows. As for the other poll that we had as well, in terms of how you're currently getting your private company insights or forecast, love to see it. There's an overwhelming volume of folks who are using Crunchbase's software. So I really hope today is a great centering moment for you to get some previews and again, just kind of generate some opportunity for how you might leverage our API in tandem with the software. We also have a good chunk of folks who are also using other data providers or APIs. And I think that that's a really great notion to keep in mind as well, is the idea of supplementing and strengthening what you are getting across the board there. So great. That's so exciting. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out and we'll kick things off with our agenda. So, what is our roadmap together for today? We're going to be spending a lot of time together. So, buckle up, let's get comfortable. We'll kick things off at the top of our discussion here with an introduction to predictive intelligence. So, think of this as your 101 on what exactly predictive intelligence is and why it's the new edge that you can unlock in a crowded market. From there, we'll then shift gears and actually run through what predictive intelligence is accessible through Crunchbase's API today and how investors, go to market teams, and market analysts can really harness predictive and private company predictions. From there, we'll keep rolling right along. And once we've set the stage for predictive intelligence, I will then be joined by Crunchbase's Monica, and she'll walk us through what Crunchbase's data looks like from the API in a dashboard. We'll be diving into how investors can use predictions to spot high ROI opportunities. Then we will switch gears and I will have Stefan from Clay join us to provide an overview of Clay and how they've integrated predictive intelligence into their product to give their users a competitive edge. After that, we will round things out with some final thoughts, and certainly as time allows, we'll also have a little bit of Q&A. Before I go any further though, I am going to put on my housekeeping hat. We will have more polls running throughout our discussion today, but of course, if you have questions at any time, please feel free to drop those in here. We'll work to answer those questions throughout, but if we don't get to your question, don't worry, we'll be sure to connect with you after today's session. Again, we have a jam-packed hour together. Following the event, you will get a copy of the recording from today, and we'll also have some great resources that you guys can get your hands on that you can reflect on after the fact. Again, I will always put this caveat out there. If there are questions after the webinar as well, you've had some time to chew on what you heard today, you can always connect with our team and we would be more than thrilled to discuss your questions and your unique needs further. All right, I think that's everything. So let's dive into the meat of today's discussion. So what exactly is predictive intelligence? I'm so glad you guys asked. Traditionally, Crunchbase has helped its customers find private companies and investors, making it easier to assess their growth potential and focus on the most relevant, high impact opportunities. Now, while Crunchbase's historical data has been a valuable resource for its customers, users have still had to do the heavy lifting and aggregate the sources and signals that we historically provided in order to make their own insights. This year, that changed and we turned the page, taking our trusted proprietary private company data one step further. We made it actionable. We relaunched Crunchbase as an AI-powered predictive intelligence solution with predictions and insights, meaning we now uncover and analyze hard-to-find private company data so you don't have to, delivering clear insights into market trends and predictions about future company activity. While historical data is foundational, it does keep you in a state of reactivity. Now, Crunchbase saw a unique opportunity to build off the data that we are known for and shift to showing people not just what happened to a company yesterday or what's currently happening today, but we are also shedding light on what is likely to happen tomorrow. Historical data prompts reactive measures based on past events, while predictive data offers foresight and truly paves the way for action. Now, in an unpredictable private market, Crunchbase predictions help you get ahead of the competition and any market shifts, really giving you that first mover advantage to private market opportunity. With predictive intelligence, you can now anticipate private company events, like if and when a company is likely to raise another round. You can surface companies that are likely to grow in an emerging niche industry, or uncover from your list of target companies who is likely to have an exit event, an acquisition soon. And with that foresight, you can then make strategic decisions proactively using Crunchbase's predictive intelligence. Now, Crunchbase is predicting those private market movements. So, our predictive models that we have today include our exit predictions, which encompasses predicting acquisitions, IPOs, or company closures, funding predictions that predict both if and when a company is likely to receive their next round of funding. We also have growth predictions that help to predict a private company's growth, as well as the inverse, predicting if there's likelihood for there to be any decline. And then we also have layoff predictions, which predict the potential for a layoff event to occur. These unmatched insights into future company movements are built on the only combination of proprietary private company data, AI-powered analysis, and aggregated usage data from Crunchbase's over 80 million active users. Now, you do not have to wait anymore on lagging indicators or chase down hard-to-find data. You can easily integrate Crunchbase's AI-powered predictions into your tools, models, and products using the Crunchbase API. This gives you the chance to equip your team with the knowledge to act first, seize opportunities before your competitors can react, drive revenue, and build smarter, more resilient strategies to win with confidence in the private market. What an opportunity to really seize some differentiation. So now that we've gotten our bearings about what predictive intelligence entails, let's shift gears and take an opportunity to talk about how users like you can tap into Crunchbase's predictive intelligence using the Crunchbase API. Now, as we had saw a show of hands from the previous poll, many of you are likely familiar with Crunchbase's software, which really shows a teaser of our predictive signals. But we have a unique opportunity today to look through the various predictions and insights that users can access through the Crunchbase API. So let's take a brief moment to actually walk through all of the signals available through Crunchbase's API that power our predictive intelligence. So after having covered those different aspects and the value of predictive intelligence, let's take a look first at our insights. So Crunchbase's insights can really help you to free yourself of manual research and save you time while providing deeper insights on private market activity by analyzing past and present company trends and performance. Now, from the Crunchbase API specifically, you can unlock growth insights. These are going to be analyzing a company's growth direction, events that signal how they're growing, and offer a summary around their growth trajectory so you can uncover companies that are growing faster and focus on how to nurture those opportunities more strategically. You can also tap into investor insights. Now, these analyze historical investment data, like the typical stages at which an investor provided funding, what their historical industry and geographic focus is, so you can know what they've primarily targeted and where they've funded companies. You can also In this snapshot, see the investments that they've made in companies with diverse leadership and the typical size and types of investments that they've made. So think of this insight as the means of helping uncover patterns and detect trends so that you can form a thesis based on an investor's investment and funding patterns. Another insight that's available through Crunchbase's API is our products and services insights. This simplifies research by offering an instant breakdown of what companies build and sell, so you can more strategically evaluate market saturation, assess competitors, and prioritize emerging opportunities that would fit into your portfolio or could be ripe to sell into. The other insight that we've heard a lot of interest and opportunity around is Crunchbase's news insight. This distills key market trends and reactions into a detailed description, sentiment score, and news links, keeping you informed so that you can really focus on high value opportunities and not waste time searching for those details across disparate news sources. Now, what I find to be particularly cool about the news insight is that it's like 7 different insights rolled into one. Like, talk about impact. This captures news on new offices, company strategic partnerships, key leadership changes, news on workforce restructurings or layoffs, legal and regulatory news, product launches, along with industry awards and recognition. Going through that list makes me feel like Oprah about the news insight. So it is packed with some seriously deep insights that, again, reduce you having to crawl the web for what's happening in the news. Now, as we had touched on earlier, we also have Crunchbase's predictions, that forward-looking view into what potential milestones a private company may experience soon. Again, just to recap those, since we went into a little deeper detail previously, we have those growth predictions answering whether or not a company is anticipated to experience growth. We have the funding predictions. Again, that tells you if and when a company is likely to secure its next round. We also have our exit predictions. That's broken out into 3 different exit events, including an IPO, acquisition, or closure. And then there's the layoff predictions, helping address whether or not a company is likely to have a layoff event in the future. Now that we've gone through those various signals behind Crunchbase's predictive intelligence, it's worth discussing what sets the API apart from Crunchbase's software that you know and love. So, really think of Crunchbase's software as your launchpad. It gives you a taste of predictive intelligence. And Crunchbase's API can be your command center, where you can do the most, extracting really specific data molded to your needs by honing in on the endpoints and data that you find to be most impactful to meet the needs of you and your organization. Now, with the software, users get a great point in time snapshot of what has happened to a company. And based upon your access, you can see high level details about funding, acquisition, IPO, or growth predictions. This includes their probability scores, as well as summaries of insights like growth and news that we talked about earlier. And the profile in Crunchbase's software offers a great visual for users and teams to quickly scan and weave predictive intelligence into their workflows. So, again, being able to see that snapshot, that visualization, and then take that knowledge and apply it to the work that you're doing to really capitalize on the opportunities that you seize and want to see fit. Now, on the other hand, Crunchbase's invaluable live predictive intelligence can be accessed at scale in the forms that teams need using Crunchbase's API. Now, this might look like actually making calls to the API and feeding that to your proprietary model or custom product that you've built. It could also look like using your existing footprint through a data warehouse provider like Snowflake so that you can integrate Crunchbase's predictive intelligence faster. Or maybe it's in the form of data enrichment so that you can automatically ingest and refresh key company intelligence into the tools and workflows that your organization relies on to make key decisions. Another major benefit of the Crunchbase API is the ability to access all of Crunchbase's predictive intelligence, including premium unpublished details that you simply cannot get anywhere else. Using the API is the fastest and most seamless way to scale and integrate our trusted predictive intelligence across your systems so that you can automate action and ultimately power smarter business decisions and win. All right, now we're going to take another breather here as we're making progress before we get to the good stuff. Although we've had a lot of great knowledge sharing so far, but before we go further, I'm going to drop in another poll for us here. So let me pop back here, and I will go ahead and fire off our second poll. So this one asks, what is your primary use or need for predictive private company data? And as you guys answer that, I'm going to grab a quick thing of water and let those answers roll in. All right, we have some good answers. I'll give that just a few more seconds here. All right, and I'm going to go ahead. Oh, we have more answers that are coming in, but I'm going to go ahead and stop things for the sake of time. From our poll in terms of primary usage and opportunity to leverage predictive private company data. We have a tie actually between folks leveraging it to assist and facilitate lead scoring and lead prioritization, but also for competitive or market research. That's so great to hear. We're actually going to touch a little bit on those two different use cases here in just a moment. I also think when we hear from Stefan, from Clay, he'll definitely be able to speak to the enrichment of data for that specific GTM use case of like lead scoring and prioritization. But we also had a pretty high volume of folks come in with answers around leveraging this data and this predictive intelligence for sourcing investment opportunities. This is so great. Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and I will close that out. Thanks for bearing with me as I jump between answers on the screen. And let's hop into some of the different benefits that different users across a number of walks can really see the value in leveraging Crunchbase's API and predictive intelligence through the API. So from the customers or from the conversations that we've had with customers, there are immense benefits that a variety of users can obtain and unlock by using the API. For investors, we know you're seeking high return investments and you want to be the first to discover or seize early stage companies with really strong growth potential. So leveraging the API could help uncover those growth signals, those high potential opportunities earlier, mitigate potentially risky moves or investments, and also help to accelerate your due diligence workflows. For market analysts, we know that you are tasked with analyzing an insane amount of data, and oftentimes it's under really tight timelines. So, in order to help influence or affirm your business's strategy while bringing unparalleled insights, so the business, or perhaps if you're consulting your external client, knows exactly who to watch, where they want to build, who they should partner with, or even who to buy. And for go to market teams, we've heard from you all that your aim is to find high value companies that align with your ideal customer profile as soon as possible so that you can effectively and efficiently prioritize outreach ahead of your competition. So we'll peel this back one layer further. And for investors, let's talk about really how you can utilize predictive intelligence through the API. The value in integrating trusted private company intelligence ultimately makes private markets more investable and accessible, accelerating your decision making. Using the Crunchbase API, investors have access to a real-time predictive feed of the private market's past, present, and likely future, really helping to empower you drill down to specific endpoints that matter the most and spot those opportunities, minimize risk, and make faster decisions at scale. With predictive intelligence through Crunchbase's API, you can utilize to enrich your models and have that foresight to act quickly on viable high dollar figure investments or even pivot from risk. So, here, one that I really like to flag, especially because we were just talking about the different available signals, is as you are looking through and seeing how viable potential opportunities are, you'll have access to the funding, the different exit predictions, growth predictions, but only through the API will you have access to our closure and layoff predictions. Those are exclusive to Crunchbase's API that you can't get anywhere else. But again, you can continue to use that predictive intelligence beyond that to spot those growth opportunities and streamline your due diligence processes as well. As far as for market analysts, when you're compiling research, we know that time is of the essence. The value in integrating private market intelligence into custom builds and models helps you answer the questions you have or didn't realize that you needed answers to, so that you can act decisively on market trends or forecasted company milestones. Now, with Crunchbase predictions and insights, you can streamline your research motions and really save time surfacing hard to find company data and cutting down on traditionally manual analysis with automated and really unique insights. Using Crunchbase's predictive intelligence through the API also helps you empower organizations you're working with to make more strategic, risk averse decisions so you do not have to guess what tomorrow looks like or how market impact activity is going to impact your business's next move. You'll actually have that foresight. So, for market analysts, integrating predictive intelligence can serve as a major edge in helping make your models stronger and more proprietary so you can consistently deliver the most fresh and unique insights. And then, last but certainly not least, the value that GTM teams can see by integrating predictive intelligence is using it as a method to enrich pieces of your organization's tech stack using the API. This can lead, just as you guys had mentioned in the poll, to better targeting and segmentation to help prioritize those high value opportunities, which can in turn drive quality conversations with the highest quality lead possible. Integrating this intelligence into your go to market motions ensures you're working off the most up to date data, that in turn keeps your lead scoring sharp, your CRM's data fresh, and your GTM playbooks relevant. So you're engaging with prospects who are in a position to buy. And so you can act and engage with them before your competition can even consider reacting to the news. All right. We have gone through a ton together. Thank you guys. I know that there's been a lot of activity, and keep those questions coming. Our team is working to answer them. And again, we'll also provide some answers following the webinar as well. But before I pass things off to Monica to actually show you guys, now that we've talked all about what predictive intelligence is, how it can bring value and benefits to your operations, we're going to jump into another poll. So let me go ahead and navigate to that, and I will go ahead and launch that. So our next question, as you guys are taking a quick break before we jump into our demonstration with Monica, is which of the following options would you most want to enrich using data from Crunchbase's API? So we'll give everybody just a minute there. And we can see here, Monica has joined me. Hey again, Monica. And just again, to reorient everybody, Monica is one of our senior product managers here at Crunchbase. She has had such a hand in helping shape and deliver our predictive intelligence. So delighted that she's been able to join us today to actually give us a firsthand look at how our data looks in action. All right, we'll give this just one more second here for folks to come in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end our poll. Now, in terms of what folks are saying, which of these they would most want to enrich using Crunchbase's data from the API, an overwhelming amount mentioned using that data for their CRM or customer database. And then really fast follow, folks are wanting to enrich it for like their internal dashboards or other research tools. I think that is, and others are not sure yet, and that's totally fine. That's honestly the purpose of having a discussion like this today, is help fuel some imagination and ideas for how you could engineer with this data. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. And Monica, I will pass things to you to give us an overview of Crunchbase's data in
Yeah,
action.
thank you, Liz. As Liz mentioned just now, I'm Monica. I'm a product manager here at Crunchbase, and I'm going to demo how our predictive intelligence looks when integrated into Snowflake. So let me just share my screen really quickly. Okay, I think we are good to go. All right, so just before this, Liz talked about what is important for investors. So let's imagine that I'm an investor focused on expanding my portfolio in clean and renewable energy providers. So right now, I'm in my Snowflake environment where my predictions and insights data is integrated. And what you see here in this structured table is also accessible via API. So this really gives you many ways to easily plug this data into your internal workflows, models, or dashboards. Now let's walk through Turos. Here we go, Turos as an example, and you can see the data on this right panel here. And before we fully dive into this data, keep in mind that we build these predictions using the patterns identified in Crunchbase's historical private company data, which is also available in our API. So what you see right now is really only a small slice of what is fully available in our API and other data integrations. Now, back to Toros. So, as an investor, this seems to be a good fit for the type of companies I'm looking for. So, as I can see here, they're early stage, they're hopefully growing, and they're in energy and sustainability. So, that's generally what I'm looking for. Now, scrolling down to our funding prediction, which you can see here, with Crunchbase's funding prediction, I immediately see that they have a high probability that Turos is actively seeking funding. So this signal gives me early insight into companies preparing to raise before the round is announced. So me as an investor can move fast and get in early. And digging deeper into this funding prediction data, you can also see that they are likely to raise in the next 12 to 24 months here. So this helps me determine how quickly and when I need to be acting on this. We also have additional context about about the probability with our growth insight, which details they raised funding in 2024. And they also launched a partnership with Rocky Mountain Power, I believe, to purchase their batteries.
This is such a helpful clip. Sorry to jump in. You guys have heard enough from me, but it's really helpful to see in what Monica is showing here just the high fidelity degree of information that is accessible through Crunchbase's API. So, just as she was talking earlier, and you can see this in what she's highlighting again, you're actually going to get the probability score delivered by our predictive intelligence with our predictions. So, you get the score, but also you're able to see the different tiers. Again, with the software, you would only see that singular snapshot, but here you're getting such a high degree of data that's accessible only through the API that you wouldn't be able to get anywhere else.
Yeah, thanks for that extra detail, Liz. You are always welcome to cut me off. Um, and so, yes, looking at the funding prediction alone for Turos as an investor, that it already makes it a pretty high value target for me. But we can actually layer on top of that our growth prediction, which you can see here. And the growth prediction provides a read on the company's future growth momentum. So for Turos, this data tells me that not only are they likely to raise, but they're also likely to grow. So that's a really strong double signal that helps me prioritize Turos as a high value clean energy company that is both likely trying to raise funding right now and has a lot of momentum. So me as an investor, I should definitely be considering them for an investment opportunity. But it's important to note on the flip side, imagine this growth prediction or doubtful or very unlikely. So we had a pretty low score for them. This would give me a signal that while the company is likely trying to raise funding, the company could also have some risk. And this could help me trigger the need for more investigation during my due diligence process. So again, all of this data kind of demonstrates a degree of detail that is incredibly powerful to add to your own systems. And especially me as Monica, an investor, this is valuable input to make my own decision-making tools even stronger. And you can imagine very similar workflows for customers performing market research, using our funding predictions, growth predictions to figure out where the bright spots are, or go-to-market teams building out lead scoring, and using these growth scores to determine momentum and that they have therefore capital. And from here, Liz, I'll pass it back to you since I know you have a lot to talk about.
Thanks so much for that, Monica. And again, everyone, that was just a quick snapshot of what our data looks like that could be accessed through the API. Specifically, though, Monica was able to show us how that looks, leveraging an integration like what we have with Snowflake. So, again, just giving you a flavor for the shape of the data that you could access through the API in a trusted tool that you want to feed that into. All right, now I will swap things back to our presentation. Thanks again for that show, Monica. And as we keep moving along, having seen the shape of the data through Crunchbase's API, I actually want to shift our focus and hear from one of our partners and customers, Clay, who's actually been using Crunchbase's data through the API for their recent integration. Clay recently launched their Crunchbase integration and utilized Crunchbase's predictive intelligence to introduce 8 new actions that Clay users can leverage to enrich their data and strengthen their go to market motions. I'm ecstatic to welcome Stefan to speak to all things Clay and their journey implementing Crunchbase in their marketplace. Perfect. Hey there, Stefan. I will go ahead and pass things over to you to give us a briefer on who Clay is, and excited to have you guys joining. Thanks again for the time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Great to meet everyone here. So to give you a bit more context on Clay, if you haven't heard of us before, so there's really like 4 core pieces within Clay. So with one subscription, you come to Clay, you get Clay credits, and you can redeem those credits with any of the 100+ data providers, including the great folks at Crunchbase. And so it kind of simplifies things. If you just want a few bits and pieces here, or you're not sure exactly what your plans are for the year and you want flexibility to move that budget around to different types of data, whether it's contact data, firmographic, web intent, and so on, you have that flexibility within the kind of the Clay credit ecosystem. And then in addition to that, you can start layering the different data providers together. So for example, we have 10 different mobile phone providers, but those, as you go into different regions, they have different strengths, different kind of coverage levels. And so by waterfalling them together, you can get really high coverage while also like maintaining the highest quality by using the highest quality, but maybe more niche providers first. So that's kind of the 2 pieces there. And then you've got really great AI applications where you've got Claygent, the AI researcher who can go, you can give them any task, and Claygent will go find the information on the internet for you and bring it back in a structured, standardized format to use inside the rest of your workflow. And then the last piece is kind of bringing that together of like, hey, you have all this data, you know who to target, what to say to them. Now put that all together into one like clear, nicely written, personalized email within that single workflow. So these are kind of the different chunk pieces of Clay, and you can apply this across many different go-to-market workflows, whether it's like doing outbound outreach, phone calling outreach, inbound lead enrichment, advertising targeting, internal revenue operations workflows that are updating a CRM or kind of a tool like Outreach or SalesLoft. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use kind of these core building blocks within Clay.
That's so helpful to understand, and I think so much power to be cultivated and really tap into to strengthen that next motion to differentiate themselves. So with that, Stefan, I know that you and I have had the chance to talk about this, and I'm so delighted that you have the opportunity to share this with the folks joining our webinar today. But would love to hear from you, kind of how you guys had found this opportunity and this challenge to really solve for on what was happening, and where Crunchbase was that opportune solution.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really interesting because a lot of the providers and partners we work with, it's historical data, kind of what you're speaking to earlier in the webinar. It's really helpful and it shows you in the past what happened. But we want to get ahead. We want to have alpha and get ahead of an opportunity before others in the market can see it. And so having that predictive insight into, hey, for in our case, it was the most interesting was funding prediction. It was like, hey, how can I, as a service provider or a software vendor, get into an account before they raise money? So that once they have that, I'm not like reaching out as soon as the PR announcement goes out and everyone finds out, but rather I can reach out ahead of time and get in right and like talk to the decision makers, because normally a purchasing process takes a while. You're not just like immediately buying something. It takes a few months. And so now you can get it in front of the audience that is likely to have budget in the next couple of months to purchase your service, and then start working that account to acquire that customer, and then get in at a really pivotal kind of growth moment of their business. So I think that was really like what excited us about this predictive intelligence. And we had no one was like explicitly asking for this because they didn't even know it was possible. It was more so like, hey, like I want funding information, or I want to see, is this business growing? Is their headcount growing? They had all these other requests and asks, but we could see, oh, through those requests and asks, like what they're actually looking for is like, just, I don't care about the details, but is this business growing? Or will they have money soon? And so those were some of the really interesting ways where this kind of distilled, like this AI interpreted data set was really powerful. And we viewed it as being a really great addition into people's go-to-market workflows.
That's awesome. And walk us through, I know you're actually going to show us here in just a minute, but in terms of when you found that opportunity with that predictive intelligence through Crunchbase and through Crunchbase's API, what was really the solve that you guys were able to introduce? Again, I know you said that it wasn't necessarily the ask for prediction wasn't out there, but I know that folks were wanting to find these answers and didn't know what to call it. So tell us a little bit about what solution you guys were able to create in terms of leveraging Crunchbase's predictive intelligence through the API.
Yeah, so we were able to build in an action within Clay where you could enrich a company to see, hey, are they likely to be raising money sometime in the next kind of, depending on the period, like 3, 6, 12 months, and get basically a predictive percentage back. And that would allow you to then score opportunities or take action during a certain time frame on those accounts. And so we surface it inside of Clay when you search for like funding information. So we have the kind of traditional historical funding data, but now if you search for funding, you'll also see a funding prediction, which is this brand new way to get ahead of the market and kind of surface it within the user experience.
That's awesome. I'm so excited. I know this is brand new. It was just launched at the end of April. We are so excited to hear how more customers are going to start tapping into that. But for now, for the folks on the line, I think we're going to kind of shift gears now, and I will actually stop sharing and pass that over to you so we can actually see Clay's Crunchbase integration live.
Absolutely. And so here we go. So this is a Clay table. So for those of you who haven't seen Clay, it's a spreadsheet interface. Every row could be a different company or a different person. Every column, a different data point or a different integration. And so this case, you can see here that we've got the enriched company growth insight. And so I've taken a list, kind of a random assortment of companies. I had about 87 to start with, enriched them and filtered down because I wanted to see which ones are growing. And so here I can see, okay, I've filtered, I've got the ones that are growing right now, and I've got a great estimated description of like where that estimate came from. And so this is great content to then feed into an AI action for writing an email or writing a personalized message. It's got excellent context on why that organization is growing, what is relevant about them right now. So that was the growth insight, which we're really excited about adding. And then the funding prediction, I created a different view for that, but same list of companies, enrich them to see, hey, are any of them likely to raise money? And you can see here, I've pulled out the funding prediction score of this list and giving you a kind of really good view of like, hey, is this company likely to raise money? I mean, a great like sign here, like obviously Google very low likelihood. They're publicly traded. They've got a ton of funds already. And so I wanted to include that just to demonstrate kind of the range of likelihood here. There's a ton of other data available within this prediction as well. So you've got the specific indicators are kind of labeled, and you can get more and more granular details. But I wanted that high level kind of confidence score that they will raise money gives you a good insight into what's coming soon for this business, and should I start getting in the door now.
That's awesome. That is so helpful to see. And I think, again, this just helps expand on the degree of information that users can get their hands on and actually act on. So they're not having to go through and boil down all of those details manually on their own, taking time away from actually seizing and engaging these opportunities, but they are served that immediately so they can turn around and strike up a conversation at the right time, and with a really differentiated message.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that walkthrough, Stefan. This was so helpful to see and hear just your journey from identifying this opportunity with Crunchbase's predictive intelligence and what it's actually looked like in action in Clay. And I will plug too, if you guys have questions around this, we are more than happy to answer questions around our integration with Clay. We're also looking forward to more opportunities with the team there as well. But Stefan, I know that you are busy, so I will let you drop. But thank you so much again for your time and really walking us through that. That was so helpful.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and really excited about the partnership. So thanks everyone for joining in.
Tremendous. Thanks again. Awesome, guys. Well, I am looking at the time, and honestly, I'm baffled at how quickly this has gone. So now that we have had a chance again to see the way in which our data looks through the API in Snowflake, thanks to Monica's overview, but also you've seen the way in which this could look integrated. That example was through a custom product. Let's actually kind of close things out with some final thoughts and some key takeaways before we round out our time together. So I just kind of wanted to recenter. We've talked so much about the opportunity, what predictive intelligence is, leveraging it through Crunchbase's API, but it's absolutely worth mentioning all that is accessible through Crunchbase as a predictive intelligence solution. Many of you had mentioned in the earlier poll familiarity with Crunchbase's software. So Crunchbase's software is available to still help discover and help teams act on private market opportunities with ready-to-use predictive analysis tools and data visualizations. We also have integrations for Crunchbase. So just like you heard, one of those integrations being Clay, these are really intended to help optimize the workflows and the tools that you rely on with the power of private market predictions and insights, so that the tools that you depend on and that you love can become stronger and more impactful to drive those strategic business decisions that you're looking to capitalize on and make. And then last, but certainly not least, the focus of today's discussion, the Crunchbase API. So with the API, you have the opportunity to build custom applications, enrich those tools that you rely on, strengthen your proprietary models at scale and with the full scope of what our predictive intelligence offers today. The last thing to walk you all through is really just some key takeaways that I hope you'll tuck in your back pocket, really chew on, and have an opportunity to consider how you might be able to apply predictive intelligence to make for a stronger tomorrow, having the foresight of what the future is going to look like for those private companies that you are looking to seize and win on. So first and foremost, predictive intelligence really is the future. You have a unique opportunity to go beyond historical information and historical company data and stay ahead of the market. So not only can you get ahead, but you can stay ahead by utilizing Crunchbase's predictions about future company milestone movements. You also can unlock predictive intelligence in the Crunchbase API. So again, as we saw, especially with the help of Monica and with Stefan, through those demonstrations, you have the chance to access our predictive intelligence and those automated analysis with Crunchbase Insights using the Crunchbase API to enhance your tools and custom builds. Another key item, certainly to take to heart following today's conversation, is your ability to flexibly access predictive intelligence using Crunchbase's API. So, whether you are seeking to invest in the next unicorn, you need to elevate your go to market efforts. You're looking to guide smarter private market decisions. I saw a few questions in the chat around the ability to market to those teams. Accessing these real-time private company predictions is going to be critical in helping you win today and tomorrow. So again, you are able to assess what's coming down the pipeline in the private market so that you are in a position to really grab a hold, stay ahead, and navigate instead of reacting what's happening in the private market. And lastly, you just saw what was possible with Clay and how they leveraged predictive intelligence with Crunchbase's API. So I would turn the tables here and ask if you are ready to get started. Our team would love to connect with you so that we can really understand your unique needs, your challenges, and what it is you're looking to solve so that we can tailor an evaluation and really see how predictive intelligence can be leveraged to help meet and surpass your goals for success. So a lot again to chew on. There is immense opportunity in being able to forecast and get ahead of what the private market has for us. So to leave you guys, we have time for one more poll here. So let me go ahead and pull up our final one of the day and would love to understand after today's session how interested you are in exploring predictive intelligence using the Crunchbase API. I know as we've been talking, and I'll let this poll run for a little bit, but I know as we've been talking today, a number of questions have come through that the team has been answering. A lot of them are very unique to very specific use cases. So I think that this is a great opportunity if you have been interested and you're wanting to find out more. Our team will certainly connect with you following today's discussion. If you are a current customer, please reach out to our support team or to your account manager, and you can schedule some time to learn more about this. There is just such a great opportunity that you have to capitalize on this to really help set you apart from your competitors, give you that edge in a crowded space so that you can be looking into what is happening in the future, again, instead of reacting to it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll. And the other last thing that I will leave you guys with, as we are very close to time, is in your chat area, you will see there is a great resources tab available. If you open up that resources tab, you will actually be able to see we have provided you all with a digital download. That is our latest ebook, Predictive Intelligence, Your Key to Winning in the Private Market. That helps capture so much of what we discussed together today. So you can really flip through that, again, get some ideas, recenter yourself on what predictions and insights we have accessible through the API, and chew on how you might be able to implement that and help solve some of the challenges that you're coming against today, so that you can, again, really seize those opportunities, invest in those high ROI and high growth companies, be able to differentiate yourself as you're going to market, and help really synthesize and drive greater efficiencies in the way in which you are researching key companies and the market at large. So with that, I know that we have had a lot of chatter going on. We will definitely share some follow-ups after the webinar today. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Just wanted to take a moment and thank you guys so much for such an engaging conversation. We really appreciate the time, all of the questions that you guys brought to the table. We're really excited to continue expanding on predictive intelligence that's available through Crunchbase. And we look forward to partnering together with more of you and seeing what's possible and how we can really achieve more with you all together using these predictive insights. So with that, thank you so much for your time, and take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day.